welcome, Ira. Welcome to Health FAQ. It's such a pleasure to have you with us to discuss on what is the value that we can bring to people who are suffering with a condition called diabetes. So I think you can add a lot of value, and so welcome.
Thank you so
And
much, Harvinder.
to
It's a
to
really a value creation that you're doing for the people.
Thank you. And to all the viewers, let me first introduce who Ira Ratan is and why do we bring Ira Ratan for this particular show. Uh, Ira is a medical nutritionist and therapist who's certified diabetes educator. So it is not that somebody who's out of passion and love is only coming. She's qualified to talk on the subject that we are going to talk about today. And in fact, she has been a faculty in Vivo Healthcare, and she's in fact an India awardee as a vegan nutritionist, health and wellness ambassador of 2019. So she brings to her, along with her, a lot of credibility when she talks on this particular subject. She's been a keynote in various domestic as well as international conferences, and she's a founder of an institution called Pathya Prana, and within that, she's working as a founder of a company called Reversing Diabetes India. So, and she has received a certificate from Apollo as far as her willingness to create awareness for COVID-19 specifically. So, welcome, Ira. I think it's going to be a real valuable session where I'm going to be asking you very pointed questions which are beyond the basics of what is diabetes. Here we are addressing people who already have diabetes, and we're trying to figure out what is it that value we can bring to them to make their lives much better and more fulfilling. So, are you ready, Ira?
Absolutely, please.
Awesome. So, one basic question which will set off the conversation is: you have been working on diabetes and reversing the condition uh, or the sugar levels with the help of nutrition and diets. Is it uh, can diabetes be, or diabetic levels or sugar levels be actually reversed with dietary modifications?
So, Harvinder, first of all, thank you so much for having me in your awesome show to create a value for a lot of people. India is like 1 out of 30 are diabetics, and it's one of the diabetic capital of the world. So yes, we are dealing with a massive problem, and diabetes is just a tip of the iceberg, resulting into a lot more diseases, which can be fatal also. But yes, to talk about that question, yes, diabetes can be, it can help to lower down the blood sugar levels. So this is like kind of very important question, because many people are of the belief that it can be reversed, as in inverted commas the word reversed. Now all metabolic disorders, whether it is cancer, whether it is diabetes, or whether it is a simple obesity, how can it be reversed? I really do not feel completely inclined to use the word reversed, because it is a lifestyle disorder. अगर आपका वेट बढ़ जाता है और आप उसको आप किसी तरीके से you go on a weight loss program and you tend to reverse your weight, but then if you start eating the junk food again, your weight will come back. And same is the case with this. So it is not very correct that we use the word reversed, but yes, there have been many instances and many cases. Like there was this patient from Gurgaon, and I do not like to take the name of the patients and everything, because ethically we are not allowed to take the name of the patients or people.
Yeah.
So, like now he had come and his blood sugar levels were very high. May I share the story with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So his sugar levels were very high, and he was HbA1c 10. And 10 is a very scary HbA1c. So he went and he got himself insulin, and then he came to me and he said that I'm very scared. I don't have diabetes in my family. I'm single and I'm kind of taking care of my little daughter. How do I manage it? And if the food can help, because insulin is expensive. the injections, everything. And there's a lot of stress on the body also. So I said, yeah, I can, if you are willing to it. And for that, you definitely need to follow certain parameters which are extremely important. And it's not an easy. It took you so many years to build up your diabetes, which was not genetically there. So give me 2 months, at least a minimum 2 months I want from you. And God's grace, he followed the whole plan procedure, which was a simple lifestyle modification, combination of certain foods and vegetables, which was going completely erratic, a little bit on level on his stress, which has to be managed because stress itself is a precursor for inflammation, which leads towards diabetes. So post that, he came down. I was very happy to share that now his, like 2 months later, his blood sugar levels, his HbA1c came out to be 5.5, which is totally normal. So no insulin, never being on medication, and hopefully God's grace, he should never be on medication either. So very few simple steps that need to be followed, and he can take care. So when we say, that can be with diabetes and modification and lifestyle diseases, we also have to take into consideration that the diabetes is also of different forms. So it's type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Now, type 1 diabetes is also categorized into different types of type 1. So there's LADA, called as ADA, there is Moody, and then there are certain kinds of type 1 diabetes which happen because of somebody has bipolar. Now, if I may share the story with you, this patient came, and young boy, just recently married, but he had been under a lot of depression because of family, and he was not obese much, but it happens. People do get under a lot of stress. So he came and he had bipolar. Now, when he was diagnosed for bipolar, he was given the medication. Now, that medication itself has got lithium, which actually works and prevents the insulin from being formed because it works directly on the ADH, or the anti-vasopressin hormone. And if your anti-vasopressin hormone or the ADH hormones actually falls down, your pancreas will automatically not produce the kind of insulin that you require. Automatically, his medication leads him towards type 1 diabetes, and he's insulin dependent for the rest of his life. So the core issue over here, how to deal with this kind of a patient, was working on the core issue. His core issue was not eating high junk food. His core issue was not diet. His core issue was stress. So the stress had to be managed. Now, how do we manage the stress? Through the food. So the ICMR, according to the Indian Council of Medical Research, magnesium is supposed to be an antidepressant mineral. So how we managed to get his or lower his blood sugar levels were by increasing a lot of magnesium in his food, by checking out his blood test reports, whether he had cortisol or whether any hormone that was increased, what are his ADH or what is anti-vasopressin hormone. We checked out the hormones, we checked out how we can create a buffer, how we can create a gap, how we can reduce his stress levels so that bipolar medication levels get lowered. Automatically, his sugar levels or his diabetic levels come down. Can they be erased? No. He would be on it for the rest of his life because the hormone is almost towards the finish. But yes, we can prevent him from a lot of complications that happens due to the diabetes. Now, he is actually prevented from complications like renal diseases, diabetic nephropathy, neuropathy, cataract, glaucoma, heart, cardiovascular, artery diseases. I mean, he's prevented from a lot of diseases because we are managing and staggering his blood sugar levels in the body by simply taking care that he takes less medication of bipolar medicine. So that's some of the ways that, yes, it does happen.
Awesome. So that's very encouraging to know that at least you can manage your lifestyle or ensure that you have a better life despite having the condition.
True.
So, but you spoke about young person who had a young daughter, or somebody who's a child or not a fully grown adult. What happens in cases where someone is a little older in his he's crossed his mid 40s. He's in a latter part of his life, where the body is already conditioned to a certain lifestyle.
Yeah. So that reminds me of a young executive who was newly married, and both husband and wife were referred to be by a cardiologist. And he said, that he's got very high dyslipidemia, he's got very high cholesterol, and he's got, very high triglycerides, but his cholesterol levels were really alarming. So it is not every time, like World Health Organization has coined the word diabetes and obesity together, causing it as diabesity. But then we have to see it through the blood test reports. Now, just because he has high cholesterol levels does not mean that there is a lot of fat inside the body. We have to investigate why the cholesterol levels are high. So first question was that he came to me as, कि भी diabetes ठीक हो जाएगा, मेरा cholesterol ठीक हो जाएगा, and then come that. But when you see his blood test and when you find out, investigate his medical conditions, it turned out that he is a complete vegetarian. Now, what happens is when you are completely vegetarian, your vitamin B12 levels tend to go down. And if the vitamin B12 levels go down, your homocysteine automatically increases. So when he came to me and, this thinking, okay, we need to go on a diet, husband and wife came that we cannot have children, and I'm quite ready to divorce him. We have recently got married and now he's got such high cholesterol levels, so he'll get into a lot of problems. And if you can kind of reduce his cholesterol levels, because I don't want to go to the stent and all these things at such a young age. So I said, you need to go and get your blood test report for vitamin B12 done. And in case it comes down very low, please give me a call and we'll check out on homocysteine. When they checked out on the homocysteine levels, they were remarkably different. So what did he require? More than the diet, he required vitamin B12 injections to increase his homocysteine levels so that he can finally, cholesterol levels, which is a precursor for increasing cholesterol levels came down. So yeah, did I miss on to giving him a diet? Could be. But what he needed at that point of time was a doctor who would give him medication for the homocysteine, which will help him to settle with his cholesterol. So we have to kind of investigate the patient. What does he actually need? What is his core issue? And how best he can be benefited by creating a package for him.
I mean, that's brilliant because, which means that you are actually going to the root cause to find out why the problem exists rather than just blindly addressing the problem that is there. That's brilliant. So tell me one thing, Ira, people, there could be people who have diabetes, they were diagnosed with diabetes, they've been having it for the last 2-3 years, they have been on the medicine, they're not the insulin levels, but can nutrition even work with them where they have been, their body is accustomed to having a medicine for the last 2 years?
Absolutely. So they have been chronic patients, who in the age of almost 70, or sometimes I have currently a patient who is 85, 86-year-old lady. Mm-hmm. And she has been diabetic for almost 20, 25, maybe even 30 years.
Okay.
So what is the procedure we follow there is to lower the sugar levels to a certain extent only. Okay. We have to leave them with certain kind of a diabetic medicine, even if it's the bare minimum. We decide that how much she's able to accept, because it's something like a pen. Now if you were to have a pen, now supposing now if I were to show this pen to you, this is a pen. Now what happens is this is something like an artery. Now artery is pretty flexible, but over the years this pen or this artery, which actually harden up because of the cholesterol, the plaque, the sugar, calcification, everything, so now it's become like a hard pipe. Okay. So we have to take a call on that because we don't want hypoglycemia. And no chances we want the sugar levels to go down. So there have been chances, like when we help the patient and we help them to reduce their blood sugar levels, we help them to reduce their HbA1c levels, we help them to prevent themselves from the complications of the diabetes due to high sugar levels, but we stop at a certain point. And at that point, we help them to maintain their sugar levels. They
Okay.
have to eat some kind of a sugar in a day. It is important that 18 grams of sugar in a day is important. And we kind of deal with that. But what does happen, and what happened in the case of this lady was that she was going towards a diabetic foot. Now, the diabetic foot, there's a lot of swelling. It's like a puffiness, and you don't actually feel the ground. So
Right.
those levels became better. Her eyesight became better in the sense, she was starting to have a clearer vision. It prevented her from getting glaucoma. It prevented her renal problems from there. So all those factors leads to a better, healthier, and increases the age also. It gives a lot of satisfaction.
Right, right. So, since we were talking of nutrition and how nutrition kind of contributes to a better lifestyle and reduces sugar levels, or like I mentioned earlier, there are chances of reversing the sugar levels to a almost normal, if not fully normal. What is the kind of diet do you usually recommend to people who have diabetes?
So my USP is also that I work with the blood test reports. I'm totally handicapped without the blood test reports. The blood test reports actually speak. It is your bio. It is your profile. It is actually it speaks what lifestyle you have led. It speaks what's inside you. Even your energy, like food is related with the mood is related with your energy levels. So I believe in what my guru always says is jaisa an vaisa man, yad bhavam tad bhavati. As is your food, so is your experience. And how do we come to know about that food? The experience is in your blood test reports. Your blood test reports will speak what are your sodium levels. So the people, actually come to me that, we have started having lots of fruits and vegetables and it's kind of a healthy diet. And, why are you giving us iodized salt? And people say that rock salt is kind of important. And I said, ma'am, your thyroid levels are increasing because your sodium levels have gone down. And if your sodium levels have gone down, it primarily shows that you are either fasting a lot or perhaps you're having a rock salt. No, the government has done so much of research, and I personally know because I had thyroid, and from whom I was taking the medication was Dr. Lakshmipati. I mean, God bless him. He was Dr. Lakshmipati, and he was the one who actually did the research on iodine. Now, iodine is simply an important factor for the thyroid. Now, people go about this general thing, कि भी हमने rock salt start कर दिया, so everything and thyroid levels boom. Now, each and every part of the body and the hormones are interrelated, and the sugar levels will rise because of one factor or the other. So coming back to your question, that when people have chronic diseases and people have kind of an extra kind of a lifestyle that we lead to, then definitely we need to take into account what sort of a lifestyle they are leading. It is like simply saying, like आपको doctor prescription देते हैं and you go to a chemist, the chemist will give you the medicine only based on the prescription. But you don't take a prescription and go to the WhatsApp, or you don't take a prescription, go to the Facebook and the internet
Mhm.
and just pick up the things from there and start using
Correct.
because someone says it's kind of good. So it's very important. So my USP, and I give the diets basically based on the person's blood test reports. Blood test reports speak, and I just answer to the blood test reports. Yeah.
That's perfect. But there must be certain generic foods which should be avoided by diabetic patients, or there are certain kinds of foods in general which could be good for diabetes patients. Uh,
Absolutely.
would you want
So
to share some light
one,
on that?
yeah, definitely. So we should not have kind of junk food because of the trans fats. Trans fats are unhealthy fats. We should not have sugary and all those things. Like what does cancer feed on? Cancer feeds on protein and sugar. So आपका जो लड्डू होता है, the laddu is basically, what? It is besan, which is protein and sugar. And when it's coming from the market, then there's a lot of chemicals that are mixed into it to give that sweet taste. So protein and sugar, a deadly combination, but a very healthy combination for cancer to develop. And same is the case, if you don't have sugar, if you don't have all these things, you don't have this thing. God has given us bountiful of sugar. And the way he has packaged it, that sugar is in a way that will give us a staggered glucose level in the body, something like a mango. You know, people say mango nahi khana, but then there are times when you can have the mango, how to have a mango. Or, you know, sometimes you hear it on the Facebook, people coming, you know, that someone has said that you can have mango, so go ahead and have mangoes. And the doctors and everybody are sitting in the hospital wondering that, you know, now how do we manage? Because someone A has said that क्या आप mango खा सकते हैं, so you go about, you know, indulging into a lot of mangoes. So there's a proper period of having a mango. Have it if you want to have it in the morning around 11:30, 12 when you are empty stomach. That's a good time to have a mango. Don't exceed it so that your sugar levels really become high. Have a small good piece of it, and God has packaged it with a lot of fiber, so it's going to have a staggered kind of a glucose. It's not going to cause a spike. But have it when you are empty stomach. Don't combine the food. So food combination is very important. What you are having, it's something like potato. Now potato, they say, you know, कि potato खाओगे तो आपकी sugar levels बढ़ जाएगी. A raw potato juice will actually not increase your blood sugar level. It has got high amount of magnesium. So those who have got high blood pressure, their sugar levels, or they have got edema, or they have water retention, they have puffy eyes. So it will help. But that same potato, if you were to boil it, cook it with a lot of milk, cheese, and things, those combinations, your sugar levels are going to bomb out of levels. Now that is something wrong. So potato in itself is a very healthy food with a lot of vegetables, with, you know, mix it with a lot of veggies, mix it in a juice and have. It's one of the best. It's got very good nutrients outside. But if you just cook it and increase the starch levels, it can go bad. That's why you say, you know, now rice. Now fried rice, juice में हम लोग करते हैं, they are like half cooked rice, you know, they're not fully cooked. And that same rice that we cook it with a lot of the starch, water, and we cook it and we mash it completely, the sugar levels will increase. So same goes for the pasta. If you have things on a little raw side, it's better. But things if you're overcooked, it goes on a very high level. Same way other carbohydrate counting. Now carbohydrate counting, for every food, there's a glycemic index. So which tells what is the potency of the sugar or the carbohydrates that is there when you eat that kind of a food. Now glycemic index 100 is supposed to be really high. But if you have food which has got glycemic index which is less than 55, that's a low glycemic index. And you know, most of the food, if you just pick it up and put it into your meal of low glycemic food, it's much better.
Okay.
And if you have foods which are of 56 to 69, that's a medium level, and above 70 is supposed to be a high level. And then comes with the glycemic index also comes into consideration. Is now this glycemic index and glycemic load is a very important part of the diet program when specifically giving it to a type 1 diabetic, those who are dependent on insulin levels, because the insulin are marked according to the glycemic index and the carbohydrate counting of the food. Now glycemic load is different. Now like recently, you know, I put that article out on watermelon. Now, watermelon, how do you have that? You don't have it as a juice. If you have it as a juice, it will spike. And why do you want a taste just for 2 minutes on your tongue as having it as a juice? Have the bites, have the chunks of watermelon. When to have? When you are empty stomach. If you're having bloating, add some ginger, add some protein to it. Have it with the fiber in the natural form. God has given, nothing that God has given can go wrong. It is we who have created our bodies over the period of time that we have spoiled our bodies. Otherwise, people in the earlier ages and all, they never had these kind of problems because they were having the whole fruit. There was no juicer to extract the juice out of it and then cause a high sugar level spike. It's something like, you know, when a child is in the womb of the mother, who gives the food and nutrition? The mother. And she's very, very careful. You know, she'll not touch anything that is not, you know, according to her gut feeling. So what is on her gut was, you know, she decided, okay, this is what I'll have. So what happens when you come out of the womb? Who's the mother? God. He's created nature which nurtures you. So following the nature in its regular path I totally understand if the person is around 40, 45, or reaching a little higher metabolic age around 75, 80. A long process of degradation has already happened. So we need to control and contain. That is important. The other thing that happens does with the combination of the food is one thing, like अब आप सारी चीजें इकट्ठे हाई ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स की डाल दोगे तो of course it's going to shoot higher than ever. Something like an आलू का परांठा. अब ना आलू का परांठा is something जिसके अंदर आपका पोटैटो उबला हुआ है, आपका उसमें व्हीट भी है, ग्लूटेन भी है, सब कुछ है. So of course आपका शुगर लेवल हाई होगा. But same thing if you were to kind of have some kind of a food which is like भिंडी दो प्याजा. Now भिंडी दो प्याजा is आपने भिंडी डाली, उसके अंदर आपने कच्ची कच्ची भिंडी होती है, उसमें अनियन भी होता है, there's a lot of sulfur and there's zinc over there and everything and all. So obviously, and bhindi is a great, it helps in anti-diabetic agents also are there, which actually prevents. So it's a combination of food which actually matters. So आप आलू रसा वाले मटर आलू का पुलाव की जगह, if you have the pulao, have it with a lot of vegetables. Have a kind of a rice which is like red rice, or have even red rice poha is now there. Have a little bit of brown rice, no parmal rice. Like, I mean, my patients are sometimes really surprised, because I kind of tell them, I said, आप कोई polished rice नहीं लेंगे, you will not take those basmatis and all. Please ask your helper in the house to get you that 25 and 30 rupees wala kilo wala rice, because that is the rice which is actually full of vitamin B complex. It's healthier. It won't raise the sugar levels to the extent the other rice will, and that would be good.
Awesome. This is really useful. So, two takeaways from this particular answer is that one, fried rice is not as bad as the boiled rice,
Oh yes, totally.
right? Second is cheaper rice is better, and third is something that I want to ask you. Like, would it mean? Can I easily derive from this conversation that having juices may not be as good as having the raw fruit? Is that correct?
Absolutely, 100%.
So raw fruit is better.
Absolutely. If there is no renal problem, and if there is no electrolyte imbalance, and if there is no renal problem, no kidney disease, because chronic kidney disease, or the CKD that we call, which happens, like diabetes, heart, and the kidney, the three are interrelated completely. Even their medicines are completely related. Like something, if you take metmorphin, now metmorphin works on the site of the liver, so it causes that metallic taste, and it hurts the liver. It's not. So if you want to get off that metmorphin, if you want to have that, then you have to take into consideration what sort of medicines the person is taking, so that that kind of food you help the person. You kind of give him detox for the liver if he's on metmorphin.
So typically, most of the people who are on medicines for diabetes are taking some kind of a metformin.
Yeah, definitely.
So
All these things, yes.
yeah. So what is it that you recommend that they should be taking in terms of their food to overcome the side effects of metformin? Like you said, it works on the side of the liver, etc.
Every medicine works on one particular organ of the body.
Right. So what is it that you recommend that a person who's taking metformin should be taking it as a regular part of his food or a diet?
So what happens is that I would not stop the person from having medicines. No.
Mm-hmm.
But on the contrary, I'll take the ownership of reducing his sugar levels through the diet, so that the doctor automatically lowers his medicine.
Right.
I mean, I definitely don't take it. I'm working in the hospital. I don't take it into this thing that, okay, you stop the medicines if you have to come to me because I'm going to lower your sugar levels. No, that's not the correct way to go through.
Right.
You need to take the ownership of your diet plan and create it and modify it in such a manner that the blood sugar levels come down, the HbA1c levels come down, and the doctor automatically he will lower it. I mean, the doctors, and we need to work in together with the doctors. We cannot be separate from the doctors.
I got it.
Because it is important for the patient. It's not important for me. It's not important for the doctor. The patient is important out here. So that ownership.
But उसका जो side effect है liver के ऊपर, उसके लिए उसको क्या करना चाहिए?
So we give them the foods which help with the liver, and it's with the every medicine. We have to build up the liver. like something, I would suggest आप ginger and tulsi का आप काढ़ा लो, or copper is a very good conductor of electricity and it leaches out the toxins from the body. And it's so water kept in the copper vessel at night around for 6 or 8 hours and then had as empty stomach in the morning, so it leaches out because it's a good conductor of electricity, so it tends to leach out the toxins from the body. Now, but it is also hypotensive. So like when we say, food harms and food heals, so we have to take into consideration कि आप वो proper water का पानी आप किसी को low blood pressure patient को तो नहीं दे रहे, because अगर आप किसी को low blood pressure already है and you're giving him because it leaches out the toxins from the body, his blood pressure will fall down. And these days, people have got this fad, carrying the copper vessel bottle in their hand, and wherever they go, they're drinking the water from that. No, it has to be had for as a medicine. It is medical water. You can't drink it all through the day and then you'll be saying, "Meko pata nahi, bahut thakawat ho rahi hai, I'm fatigued, I need some energy." You yourself are drinking water which will lower your blood pressure levels, and you tend to have, hypotension. So automatically you feel fatigued and tired and all those things. So yeah, you need to understand why you're doing what you're doing. How much to do is important. How much is something very, very important.
So,
How many
it's very similar to, when we, on Health FAQ, we put a disclaimer that whatever you listen to or watch on our channel, since every body is unique, one
Yes.
size does not fit all. So, go and get specifics from your expert
True.
based on what your body type is and what your body can and cannot take. So,
Correct, 100%. I mean, it's I went through the channel, and I'm really amazed at the kind of the value creation you're doing for the public, for the masses. I mean, seriously, salutes.
Thank you.
Seriously, salutes.
But tell me one thing. But there's certain generic stuff, and this is something which is very, very controversial when it comes to being right or being wrong. Of course, there is a spiritual stuff to it, and since you are working on something which is, a belief that whatever God has created, or there are food benefits out of certain foods which is meant for a human body and which is not meant for it. What is your take on non-veg food?
That's a brilliant question, and something very importantly that needs to be addressed at. So when I turned vegan almost around 4.5 years back now, so one thing that actually touched me and why I immediately went vegan was that, yes, I mean, we are talking about inflammation, we're talking about depression, we're talking about hostility, we're talking about anger, we're talking about frustration, we are talking about chronic diseases over here which do not get altered, which do not get reversed. I mean, cancer is one of the most prevalent diseases after diabetes. Why all these things are happening? Now, inflammation is the root cause. But what causes that inflammation? One of the causes depression. It is a serious, it is just your thoughts. I mean, we have psychometric diseases, it's just a thought, there's a pain and there's pain in the body and the pain is not going and the patient is running. I mean, I have patients running to the hospital even during these COVID times because they feel that they have a pain, and they get the ultrasounds and x-rays and so many MRIs and everything done, and the pain does not go. So it is all psychometric. From where do all these things come? And so all the depression and sadness, they come from, one of the things is arachidonic acid, which is a precursor to inflammation. And one of the places that one gets arachidonic acid is only from non-veg, from the animal food. Now, if we were kind to think that, let's say milk is a concoction of a lot of hormones. There's an increased amount of oxytocin. The milk that we are taking, I mean, there are a lot of research studies. We can just kind of check them out on the net and everything and all. PubMed is there. There are lots of research institutes, ICMR, lots of places where you can kind of, ResearchGate is there. There are lots of places that we can actually go down and see that milk actually is, made by the cow or made by an animal. So now that milk has been made for his calf. A camel makes it for his baby. Cow makes it for her calf. They make it for them. And in how much time? does a calf is ready to make its own baby and produce the milk? A period of 3 or 4 years. And how much time does a girl take to actually be able to produce a baby? The correct age would be after somewhere 13 to 14 years. But now that age is coming somehow, those bodily changes are coming in the age group of 9. They're coming in the age group of 8. I was very shocked to hear about a girl that, she's already onto her developmental stage, on the growth stage at the age of 8. It's the growth hormone. The growth hormone in that milk, and those hormones were meant for the animal to be able to produce, not for a human being. Now, what happens is that we know that when our cortisol, which we check out in the blood test reports, when we check out the adrenaline, all these hormones that we check out, the stress hormones and everything, we check out on the blood test reports. Now, these are also released by an animal in their bodily fluids, whether it's blood, milk, any body fluids. So when a cow is actually producing the milk, due to any artificial manner, that is through an instrument or machines that are, or through increased oxytocin, a calf is brought forward, and the let down of the, or due to the hormones, is by the milk. The cow does it when she sees the calf, but the poor calf is taken away and the calf does not get the milk, and the milk is coming down into the container for the humans. So how does the cow feel? She would cry, she would be angry, she would be frustrated, she wants a child. She will, because her let down of the milk is because she's seeing the calf and she's not giving it to the calf. There's anger, there is hatred, and we are drinking all those things. And then we call for harmony and peace in the world. A chick knows that she is about to be cut. They see the knife of the butcher and they know that they are going to be cut. They've seen it happening to other chicks around. They've seen it happening to other hens around. They've seen it happening to other goats around. They feel. They also feel. And when they feel, they let down their hormones. And we eat those hormones. We drink those hormones, and those hormones which are already frustration, all those things that were already there in our body, we are actually multiplying them in a compounding manner. We're drinking it up. We're eating it up without any analysis. Now, a good question that comes over here is that, and many people have kind of asked me, I do want to share this with you, is, and many people say that, pehle zamane mein to aisa nahi hota tha. People used to drink milk and things like that never happened. Now why all of a sudden? So I was once going, with the doctor, and we were traveling in the same car together, and he asked me this question, and then he said, that, but I have got something very strange to share with you. I said, okay. So he says, one of my patients who was there in America, and he, came down to India because he wanted to go to a South Indian temple in the southern India. And when he went there with his newborn child, so he didn't want to, he was very hygiene conscious, and the child was lactose intolerant. So they could not give that child, he was just around 6 months old, and they could not give him, those normal milk and everything. They had to give him lactose-free ka dabba. So they carried a lot of lactose-free ka dabbas, with them. They went to the village. They gave the child to the grandmother and told her the process, how to, boil that milk and feed the child. And they went to the temple. They came back from the temple after 2 days, and they found that all the dabbas were perfectly sealed and intact, and the baby was fine and happy and looked a little more healthier. So they said, what happened? You didn't feed him? How did it happen? Otherwise he would not have food. Why didn't you do? You gave him the milk. You should not have given. So the son is fine. I gave him the milk and nothing happened. So they were like, okay, this is some kind of a really good thing that has happened coming to India and all that stuff. And they went back. So they went back to America, and they started feeding the child the normal milk again. And he said now he's totally, he's kind of absolutely healthy. He does not need those lactose-free dabbas anymore, and that saves a lot of cost saving also. After one milk, one feed, the child was battling for his life in the ICU. And the doctor was totally upset with them that why did they give him milk when they knew that he was lactose intolerant. So they were flabbergasted and they said that he went to India and he was having the milk over there. How can there be so much of difference? So there then comes the most important difference is a happy cow. A happy cow is a cow who does not have an increased amount of oxytocin, who is loved, who is cared for. And the milk that was given was not, it was just 2 days. So ideally, I definitely do not recommend a human taking from a cow's milk or any other milk. We are self-sustained. We should, and let them also do bodies. It's not good for their bodies either. So yeah.
That's really, an eye opener actually, because a lot of these questions have been going around regarding the milk specifically, and I would have actually asked you this question, but you fortunately answered it. Uh, you had mentioned about mango. You brought in the thing about mango. A lot of diabetic patients are battling with the thought within their mind about fruits, because
Yes.
ये मीठा fruit है, ये नहीं खाना, ये नहीं खा सकते, चीकू नहीं खा सकते, banana नहीं खा सकते, and mango is also one of them. And so is there any kinds of specific fruits which is a complete no-no for diabetic patients, or
Absolutely.
yeah, or also if you can share the light, because I read your article today about what is the best time to have watermelon, because I remember when we were kids, our parents and our grandparents used to talk about watermelon. ये नहीं है कि खाने के बाद खा सकते हैं कुछ. I mean, there were specific times that you could have watermelon, and there were certain times where you should not be having certain kind of fruit. So can you just talk a little bit about fruits?
So what happens in fruits itself don't increase the blood sugar levels if they are had in a specific kind of a manner. Now, when we combine, now fruits don't need enzymes to digest, quite different from proteins and vegetables and other factors. So fruits can be had on themselves, but it is the combination. आप fruit के साथ आप खीरा भी डाल देते हो, आप fruit के साथ आप spinach भी डाल देते हो, तो you just spoiling the complete absorbability factor or the bioabsorbability of the nutrients of the fruit in its per se. So best time to actually, I would recommend, and I give it to my patients also, is early morning. Keep those enzymes for post lunch hours, post this thing, give your enzymes a little rest so that they recuperate, they regenerate. So that would be actually healthier. So ideally, I would say, fruits which have got black seeds, one should not have. Now, why do I use the word black seeds is like something you'll find a chiku. A chiku is very high in sugar. And the roughage content in that is much less. Same is the case with Sharifa or the custard apple. No, the sugar content is higher as compared to the fiber levels. Now, mango is a nice fruit, provided you don't have like a mango shake in
Okay.
milk per se, cow's milk. You don't have it in that kind of a format, but you have like mango. If you enjoy your mango around 11 o'clock when you're empty stomach, that's a great time to have mango. I mean, I give it to all my patients. Have the fruits in the morning. Give rest to your enzymes. Don't combine mangoes and fruits and everything with vegetables or starches and proteins and carbs. I mean, don't combine them. Let fruits, they are bountiful. I mean, they are gods. इसको कहते हैं जो प्रसाद होता है भगवान का. It's like a fruit that you actually give, and that is supposed to be the prasad also there. So it's something that yeah, fruits is something that I definitely would
So,
prefer to have it.
yeah, okay. So, any fruit which has a black seed is you should be avoided by
You should be extremely
sugar
careful.
patients.
Now,
Careful.
watermelon has got black seeds.
Yeah.
It's very high in sugar. Now, if you were to have a
Okay.
watermelon juice, it would spike your sugar levels like anything. But if you were to have one or two pieces of say 15, 30 grams of watermelon, it's perfectly fine. It's like, you know, we get this kind of a thing कि भी नहीं जी आप diabetic हैं तो आपने बिल्कुल भी नहीं खाना, आपने mango नहीं खाना, watermelon नहीं खाना. You can have. And you know, like something that I shared recently also in my article was how to have. You know, it's like coconut milk, chia pudding, mango pudding. Perfect combination. South India, we have Chitranam rice. You know, rice also, again, what I'm speaking is totally what can be researched and, you know, searched out on the other PubMed and all these places. They can easily be searched out. So one of the researchers that I came across and which really was really, really beneficial, and I totally enjoyed reading that article and what this that research person was, you know, like we have rice. अब राइस के ऊपर क्या होता है कि दिस इज दिस ग्रेन ऑफ राइस एंड राइस के ऊपर इंसुलिन वर्क्स ऑन द कार्ब्स. Insulin, if that rice grain, now if we have this rice grain and if we were to coat this rice grain with fat, and if we were to coat this rice grain with something in protein, so what will happen is when the insulin comes, it will be a staggered glucose intake or spike in the body. It would be very, very staggered. It's not going to cause a spike. It will be a very slow release of the glucose in the body. That is called sustained glucose release system. And that is there, you know, in the Chitranam rice. Our traditional food is basically ghee. I mean, जो आपका जो होता है ghee is like coconut ghee. Coconut का ghee जो हम लोग बनाते हैं, that is what I recommend, not that cow milk ghee. Now, coconut is a medium chain triglyceride. You know, it's MCT. It's highly absorbable. It helps with your gut bacteria. It helps with your bile, everything. And I really love that coconut ghee out there. But आप coconut ghee के साथ आप चावल डाल दो और उसमें थोड़ा सा peanuts डाल दो, थोड़ा सा tamarind डाल दो, and you put your curry patta and your tomatoes and everything, and you have this Chitranam rice which is there in the southern India. Varsavy, you have our North India का अच्छा खासा पुलाव, मटर आलू का पुलाव, and actually one can just kind of see the sugar levels and one will know the difference. I mean, if you go traditionally and we work on it, there's no way that we can go wrong. So yeah, but these all things need to be combined. The combination of the food is important. How you're combining, what food you're combining with, what time you're giving it, how much you're giving it, and with what depends on their blood test reports and how you are able to manage it with that. That is important.
Got it. So, Ira, I'm coming on to the next question, which is, I've been requested to ask by a lot of people, which is,
Okay.
can people with diabetes have alcohol? And if yes, how much is it? And what is the things that they must keep in mind when it comes to alcohol?
So again, it is the food, mood, and your energy. So again, going on the psychometric, if the person wants to have an alcohol and if you feel that his stress levels can be reduced because of having alcohol, then I would give it like one peg, or as a doctor would also give it 1 or 2 pegs is completely fine. Again, it depends on which alcohol. There are lots of alcohol varieties, and there are also people who are coming with new and latest varieties also over there, which have got lower carb content or which have got a different kind of thing. So yes, how much to give, how to give, and when to give is also important. Just having a alcohol and say like 2 pegs or something and say I'm having it with a healthy salad. God, no, that's not. You never have a salad with alcohol. When they say peanuts with alcohol, great, because it's a good source of protein. It has got fats. And so what happens is it's a sustained glucose release system in the body. But if you have, alcohol with French fries, it's going to increase your sugar spike. So again, it's how one can have not more than 2 as recommended by the doctor, depending on the person's blood test reports, depending on his kidney function test, other factors in mind, comorbidities, all those factors need to be kept in mind, and then only, not without it. Yes, because we don't want to increase any other thing. Smoking is one of the very biggest inhibitors, because smoking is like, you know, आपका ये artery है and artery के अंदर आपने smoke भर दिया, ऊपर से आपका cholesterol के plaques भी हैं and the whole artery is kind of fixed over there, then how do you expect the blood to flow properly? It won't. It start, you know, and glucose is something, you know, sticky kind of a thing. That inflammation becomes very sticky, and that attaches the, or you know, combines the arteries together, makes the hardens up the arteries. So one needs to be careful. Yes.
So, also since we, and in India specifically, we are a diabetic capital and growing by leaps and bounds every year.
Absolutely.
Suddenly we see a lot of these health food which is coming in the form of sugar-free stuff. So we have sugar-free ice creams that have come in. We have
True.
Diet Coke or Coke Light. I mean, I'm not going by the name per se, but sugar-free drinks.
Absolutely.
What about these?
So, Harbinder, that's a wonderful question that you have asked, because I think this is a dilemma faced by every diabetic patient. It affects the diabetic and the cancer patients. What causes cancer? Can be a diet soda, can be that cake that they had, because all these are chemicals. How will it be commercial viable if everybody were to use brown sugar or healthy sugar? You know, sugar के तो rates ही बढ़ जाएंगे share market के अंदर. I mean, the share market, the index will really touch a spike if everybody starts using, every restaurant starts using sugar in their food, in their desserts, you know. So they don't use, they use the alternatives, chemical alternatives of sugar, which causes a sweetness, but it also causes oxidation in the body, which is a side effect, and automatically it can be extremely cancerous, extremely cancerous. So अगर आप घर पे भी आप बना रहे हैं and you're making a halwa, if you're making a normal halwa, आपने उसमें सूजी डाला, आपने चीनी डाला, so I would not recommend you to put the white sugar, because white sugar contains bone char. Now that bone char, actually, you know, if this is a network of cells, so this is a network of cells, then the bone char will hook itself over there and attaches itself to it. And then it causes a reaction, starts growing, it can get into problems. But if we were to have our traditional gur, I mean, sugar cane ka acha gur banta hai, it's very sweet, it's very tasty, it's healthy. Let's make it out of that. Let's use that into the combination. And far as diabetics or cancer patients are, we need to measure our controls and combination of foods or what we are having. So no, I would say absolutely no to diet soda. I would say no to any other diet kind of a things, because they all are diet because they are chemically operated. And that increases the effects or the side effects of chemicals badly into the body. Our body cannot manage chemicals. If it could manage chemicals, then we would be hard machines, because hard machines manage the chemicals. That's why they are a machine. We are just humans, and humans, we have been packaged and given normal sugar by God, which is sugarcane juice. And then the other thing is, you know, we have stevia leaves. We have the normal stevia leaf. Like, you know what, I recommend to my patient, you want to have sugar because you've been having sugar all through your life. So you want to have sugar, you can't have the good. Okay, no worries. Grow stevia in your garden. Just pick up stevia from the, from the, one of the garden places, or, you know, from the nursery. Just get a plant, dip the leaf into your tea and have.
So tell me one thing. This is very interesting because my next question would have been that we've started using a lot of sugar-free at home because Indian families have a lot of chai. So when you're having a lot of tea and they're used to having sugar in their tea, or for that matter, coffee. So now you have these sugar-free, pills that are coming, or sugar-free, what do you call the ground form. And then you have this where they say that this sugar has been made from stevia leaves. Is that okay to have, or would you still say that it's better to grow stevia leaves at your home and use that leaf?
So what the same thing my patients ask, and the first thing that I tell them is, you're too sweet to have more sweet. Seriously, because we have masked our taste buds to three items: salt, sugar, and fat. We have masked our taste buds. We have a lot of taste on our tongue. We have a lot of various things that we can feel, but we have limited ourselves to not sweet and bitter, but to sweet, salt, and fat. And half of the diabetics or cholesterol or any other patient that comes to me, even the cancer, all this coming and all, हम लोगों को एक ही चीज उसमें कॉमन होता है. जब मीठा खाते हैं तो नमकीन खाने का मन करता है, जब नमकीन खाते हैं तो मीठा खाने का मन होता है, because we have masked ourselves that we have to have sweet. And when we go for the diabetic, again, food alters your mood and mood alters your energy. The three are totally combined together. So when we are diabetic and the patient says चीनी नहीं खाना आपने, so we get that kind of and we have this reverse psychology. We have this thing of doing what we are not allowed to do. So we always say कि नहीं अब तो चीनी नहीं खाना, तो I'll go for sugar free so that I can feel comfortable and feel empowered that I'm having sugar and I'm kind of free with it. So that is a mindset that we work upon with every diabetic patient, with every cancer patient. The life has a lot of sweetness, and there's one something that I'll share with you, that if you have a lot of fruits in the morning, don't go overboard, but if you have comfortably 2 or 3 fruits in the morning, the craving for sugar goes down, because what you feel is wanting to have a sweet taste. You're not wanting to have a lump of sugar in your mouth and start sucking it. You don't want that. You have that craving for sugar that needs to be satisfied. That, I'm not diabetic, I'm empowered. So that craving needs to be satisfied. So it's a craving that we need to work upon, not on sugar per se.
Got it. So there's a lot of psychology to it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. And so you've suggested that brown sugar is better than the white sugar that we have, which is probably
not brown sugar. I would say good. Jaggery.
Okay.
Because most of the time what we're getting brown sugar in the market is only a chemical. It's brown colored.
Okay. So good is all right. So you can have, it could be a good supplement to a white sugar in your, when you're cooking your desserts or anything else.
So in my recipes, I prefer not to give good also. Because, the patient might go overboard and वो एक bite खाते हैं and then suddenly get that taste, okay, let's have one more piece and you get that kind of a craving. Right. So I would prefer to give a date.
Yeah, I was just coming, this is something very interesting, because what has happened is lately there's this trend of having smoothies. So you put in a lot of fruits, you put in a lot of nuts, and then instead of adding sugars, you add a banana and a date, a couple of dates to it. So now it, on the face of it, sounds very, very healthy diet. And but what about diabetics? Like, isn't there like sugar rush happening because you've got fruits, you're adding banana?
Absolutely.
So what happens? I mean, what should a sugar patient do who's like?
It is the combination of food. When we say, that it is healthy, that you're putting a banana, fruits and nuts together and everything. So this is what appearing healthy.
Okay.
But is it healthy depends upon your blood test reports.
Okay.
Now, if a person has increased amount of creatinine level, which does happen to the diabetic patient, they have renal problems. So if the creatinine has increased, will you give them protein? No. You can't give them. If the uric acids have increased, the urea, all these things have kind of creatinine levels, CKD levels are completely misbalanced, then you shouldn't be having a lot of nuts because they're appearing healthy. Is it healthy to you? Is it healthy for your body? It's healthy in inverted commas that it is nuts are healthy. They are very healthy. But it depends whether it's healthy to you, will go according to your blood test reports.
Got it.
It's not like we discussed, it's not like one for all kind of a thing. And again, you cannot have a banana on its own. It has to be a combination. Also, it has to be the timings of having it. Now, if you have a banana and you have a oatmeal and you put in a little bit of muesli, and you put in that cow milk and those things together, just take your sugar levels after the report and your sugar levels will boom.
Mhm.
So no, no,
So, what
definitely
is
no.
the best way to have a banana for a diabetic patient?
Just
I've
like
seen,
mango.
I don't know, for some reason, I've always seen that most of the diabetics are craving for banana. Even, maybe earlier they were never eating banana, but suddenly when they become diabetic, they want to have a banana.
So this is again, it goes on the reverse psychology. नहीं करना तो हमने पक्का करना time से. So yes, but banana is very healthy, and I recommend it to my father. My father, who had been diabetic earlier, and he would come home 4:35, 6 o'clock from the office and have a banana.
Okay.
Highly recommended, because you're empty stomach at that point of time. You have had your
Uh-huh.
lunch around 1:32. You have
Mhm.
had a cup of tea around 4 o'clock, and you
Mhm.
come home by 6 o'clock, and your dinner is 2 hours later at around 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
Ideal time to have a banana, so that your sugar levels don't go down. We don't want hypoglycemia. We don't want hyperglycemia also. So
Okay.
6 o'clock, coming back from the office, empty stomach. Okay, go ahead and have a banana. It's a very, very healthy fruit. It has
Mhm.
got super high in magnesium,
Mhm.
very rich in magnesium.
Mhm.
Also over here, I mean, that's one of the best times to have it. I would
Mhm.
not recommend it, having it with lots of others, like a banana bhi dal do saath mein, aap uske andar apple bhi dal do saath mein, wo bhi dal do, so your sugar levels will boom. So
Okay.
have them in a separate kind of a entity. And
Mhm.
other thing also is, it is, like a difference between a glycemic index or a glycemic load of a raw guava and a ripe guava. The ripeness of the fruit or the ripeness of a vegetable cooked
Mhm.
changes your glycemic levels or the sugar levels.
Okay.
That same simple guava, which has got an amazing amount of iron in the body, vitamin
Mhm.
C, it has got amazing amount of vitamin C, increased amount, it'll help you in every form.
Mhm.
That guava is so healthy, it's got fiber, it's got lots of nutrients that side.
Mhm.
But if that guava was ripe,
Mhm.
and this is what happens with diabetics who are above the age of 70,
Mhm.
because they have dental caries, they have dental issues, so they don't want to have a raw guava. They
Mhm.
prefer to have a ripe guava because it's
Right.
easier to bite.
Right.
Now that's what increases the sugar levels.
Oh, okay.
That
Okay.
needs to be taken care of. The age is definitely a very, very important consideration while making the planning the thing. So again, you cannot kind of just go about saying that कि आप raw vegetables and fruits लो, आपका sugar levels कम हो जाएगा. So Harbinder, I'm really grateful to you for bringing this thing, because this is something that I really want to reach out to the people for. Is in this COVID-19, I've had many patients, saying, हम लोग पता है, we were having 1.5 kgs of raw fruits and vegetables, and our sugar levels were totally in control. But now, because of coronavirus, we cannot go down to the mother dairy, we cannot go down to the malls, we cannot go and go to the vegetable seller also and buy fruits and vegetables. So our sugar levels have reached a spike.
Mhm. Right.
And specifically, it's for those people who are above 50, 55,
Mhm.
because they have done patchwork.
Okay.
Diabetes and blood sugar levels are different. Let's
Okay.
not create them together. Blood sugar levels need to be managed. Diabetes needs to be managed as a proper entity on itself. Blood
Mhm.
sugar levels, it's very easy. There's so many things in this world that we can kind of manage now. Food is also like a steroid. So I have actually segregated the food into different patterns. And
Mhm.
till date, God's grace, I've had only 2 or 3 patients who really required food as a steroid. Now, when I say food as a steroid, is something like neem ki patti, jamun. All these things are steroids, and there are other fruits and vegetables also that we use them as ki this is a steroid. The person's sugar level has boomed because he has had a GTT and his sugar levels have gone very high, and he needs to be controlled and managed right now.
Mhm.
We have to prevent him from getting into a very high problem and all that. So those are separate categories. Diabetes can actually, if we function out our lifestyle properly, then they can be managed with a normal combination of food. with a normal, healthy sleeping, exercising, living, water, hydration, normal patterns that we follow. And to that, this thing came that, कि भी अब तो उनका raw fruit and vegetable नहीं मिल सकता, अब उनके sugar levels rise हो रहे हैं, what to do? Should we start them on insulin? So this is something that really needs to be taken account when a person is diabetic, and we really need to be very, very careful. You manage the blood sugar levels, but primarily one should manage diabetes and not just blood sugar levels. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's really important.
So, you touched upon a very important thing. So, one is suddenly there are fads, trends that come in, and they've been. So, one of the things that is going on right now is going on fasting. A lot of people are talking about different kinds of fast. So, one is the diets. So, people are moving to keto diet, people are moving to vegan. A lot of people are turning vegan. So, vegan, I understand because of what you told me, but keto diets, and then suddenly people are talking of intermittent fasting. Now when you go to a doctor, the first thing they tell to a new diabetic is that eat small meals but frequent meals. And suddenly people are talking of because you need to have a healthy lifestyle, you should go on fasting and you should do intermittent fasting. Now this guy who's a diabetic gets confused. What do you, as a nutritionist, what do you have to tell him?
So, as a diabetes educator and working in the hospital, Harbinda, I'm really grateful to you for bringing out this question, because half of the people who come down to Lords and all that is primarily we went on intermittent fasting and they had a hypo, and it's very sad. They just don't take into account that the person is type 2 diabetic, or is he type 1 diabetic, or is diabetic because of certain medications and hormones which have got pancreatitis or pancreas, injury of the pancreas or something and all. They don't take anything. They just go by intermittent fasting, karna hai, chalo, fine. You consider your age, you consider the type of diabetes you have. Intermittent fasting is very good. It regenerates your cells, it gives you a relax. It's something like a car. आपने बहुत देरी तक you drive a car, you're going from Delhi to Mathura, so obviously you'll stop in between. You'll have your engine to take a relax. It'll give you a breathing space. It depends from a car to a car. It depends from a vehicle to a vehicle. A train will not stop. A train can go non-stop. But same, if there is a Maruti 800, it has to take a break in between. So it depends upon body to body whether they can do intermittent fasting. They can't do intermittent fasting. And if you're diabetic, you have to follow the doctor. You have to follow, there's a diabetes educator. You have to follow your nutritionist, or you have to follow a proper plan, because we don't want hypoglycemia. People get, because they're following a diet and they find, जैसे weight loss का होता है, and the first 3-4 kgs they lose, which is primarily water retention and edema and all that stuff, and they feel, oh, I'm so elated, मेरा 3 kg weight loss हो गया, and they feel so cool about it. मेरा इतना blood sugar level down हो गया because I did intermittent fasting. And suddenly the body reacts. And we have had cases where people go into hypo and they can go into coma also. Or there's ketoacidosis. I mean, there are lots of things that can happen. You just can't take it. No, not recommended. So it depends from body type to body type.
But usually, So the sense that I'm getting is usually the diabetic patient should not go in for fasting, but if they have to go in for fasting, it should be under the care of a doctor.
Absolutely. No, I would not say that usually they should know. Fasting is a great idea. Depends upon the person, what type of diabetes he has. Can he take it or can he not? Now, this person who had come, HbA1c 10. Now, that's a very high blood glucose level. I would not give him intermittent fasting at all. I would segregate it to after 2 months, when his sugar levels are controlled, when his HbA1c has come down to 5.5 and it is, reached a very, very safe zone, then to maintain it, I would recommend intermittent fasting, not before that.
Okay.
His body should be able to handle the fasting. That is important.
Okay. I've got just 2 questions more, which are very, very important. And, one is that uh, what is the effect of tea and coffee on diabetes? Because in India specifically, we feast on tea and coffee. I mean, it's like typically for a lot of people who are working in the office, it's like an hourly or a 2 hourly thing that they go take a coffee break or a tea break.
True.
So, is there any ill effect to having too much of tea or coffee?
Yes. So what happens is that whether the person is with PCOD, the hormonal kind of a thing, or the person has got high cholesterol or triglycerides, and they keep on having medicines, and they have a regular, diabetes educator who's giving them a proper meal plan for the diabetes and everything and all. Looking for diabetes level to ठीक नहीं हुआ. They're sustaining it on the
Uh-huh.
medicine, and one of the prime causes is the tea. So tea or
Okay.
coffee, which includes the normal cow milk, or which includes as a milk of an animal. So in that one tea appears to be say around 30 ml, 30
Mhm.
ml. So that makes around 5 teaspoons. So based on that, how many teas you're having in a day? Let's say you're having around five. And in the end, you want to sleep, and then before that, also you want to have, and if it's like a stressed kind of a day with full of files and everything, you tend to increase. So,
Okay.
how much has your milk level gone? It's gone up to a glass.
Okay.
And then you have a glass of milk in the morning, and then you have a glass of milk at night. So you have got lots and lots of concoctions of those things. But other factor than to tea and coffee does come as that it has got caffeine.
Okay.
It is also acidic in nature.
Mhm.
Now, someone who's on a weight loss, someone who's on a weight loss, and they suddenly decide, okay, हम लोग तो green tea बहुत अच्छा है, या हम लोग का ये tea भी बहुत अच्छा है, it fulfills my stomach, I don't feel hungry, so I keep on having lots of tea. But
Mhm.
what they are doing more harm to their bodies, they're creating a lot of acidic environment. और उनका weight loss भी इतना नहीं होता. Because for a simple reason, the fat attaches itself to the toxins which comes out with the help of water.
Okay.
And they're making a lot of acidic environment in the body, which is spoiling their gut bacteria. So it's creating a lot of acidity also in the body, and that acidity is primarily termed as craving.
Uh-huh.
बहुत भूख लग रही है, मतलब मेरे को तो बहुत है, what do I do types and all. I can eat up a horse right now, forget it, I'm just looking and focusing on a plate. You
Mhm.
yourself caused it.
Okay.
You are spoiling your gut bacteria by creating too much of an acidic environment inside your body. Too much of issues, gut bacteria totally spoiled. Give a breathing space to the body. No, not more than 2 teas in the day. And we can make the milk ourselves. We can have the almond milk, we can have soy milk. Soy also, if you don't have, some people, they have estrogen problems and all. Okay, fight to estrogens, you don't want to have soy milk. You have almond milk, you have cashew milk, you have rice milk. There's so many milk alternatives available in the market today. We can have that, and that can be very healthy for us, because a little bit of tea is also good. Although it has a little bit of antioxidant, but then it has catechins and lots of, 2 tea is what I would recommend, and that also with an alternative of a milk, not milk per se. Yeah,
So the challenge is more with the milk and not with the tea per se. It should be
true.
controlled, but definitely if you can avoid milk, the cow milk,
True.
that's definitely better.
With the tea also, I would prefer, even if they're having it as a black tea, not more than two in a day,
Okay.
because we don't want to create a very acidic environment in the body. And
Okay.
tea also has got some antioxidant, which has got some anti-nutritional factors also. So
Right.
those also need to be limited.
Right. So I also, in one of our conversations, Ira, you had mentioned to me that one of the things that diabetics need to take care of is their hygiene.
Yes.
Especially the foot. And you, in fact, you are the only one who ever mentioned to me that there should be, there's a proper way of cutting your nails as well,
Oh,
or
yeah.
filing your nails.
True.
Uh, can you share your thoughts on that? Because that's extremely important. And I think one of the most talked about, understated need.
Absolutely. So this
Yeah.
is something important for every diabetes educator, or when they go to the hospitals or when they go to the doctor. they need to be informed. The diabetic patients definitely need to be informed about this. Is the way you cut your nails. You cut them straight. You never take the turn inside. And the prime reason for that is we don't want that skin to get hurt, or we don't want an ingrown nail. We want to prevent as much as possible that there should be no cut in the body, because a cut in the body will give rise to inflammation, and inflammation is going to give rise to increased blood sugar levels. So we need to take care that we cut them straight and not take that curve around. Also, when we are filing, it should be that wooden stick. It should not be that metal, and not kind of a thing that we need to do that. One thing more important is that when you buy your shoes, when you're diabetic, you tend to have you get this peripheral artery disease, or we get that there's a diabetic foot. So diabetic foot and all these, the blood supply gets less because there's a lot of the sticky sugary thing in your arteries and your veins and nerves. So what we do need to understand is that when the person gets up from the horizontal bed in the morning, by the time the evening comes, there's a lot of pressure, have been a pressure on his feet. So his feet will have a little bit of swelling. So when do you buy your shoes, or when you buy your shoes is you buy it in the evening when your feet have a little bit of swelling and when you have had that pressure. Because if you were to buy it in the early morning hours, or say around before 1 o'clock, if or 12:31, if you were to buy, your feet won't be swelled. And they would get, by evening, they'll get the constricted, and the blood supply will get constricted, and that is not something that we're looking forward to, because diabetic foot can be totally, it's very difficult to see with the people whose feet have got amputated, or parts of the body have got amputated because of a very simple reason: the shoe, or a small cut while filing their nails. So these are some very, like I had this patient and ko kuch bhi nahi tha. It was somewhere around 70, 73, and his HbA1c was just 7.2. It wasn't like, and he was well in the medication and everything was like kind of fine with him. बस चलते चलते पैर दीवार के साथ टकरा गया, वो थोड़ा सा नाखून ब्लैक हो गया. तो सेड कि चलो ठीक हो जाएगा, no problem. And over little bit of time, 2 of his toes got amputated. Third amputation was due, and he was traveling all the way from Gurgaon to Gangaram Hospital. And it was very sad. The person can't even go for his morning ablutions himself. He needs a support. He needs support to travel in the house. It's a whole disarrangement of the family. So those kind of things, it took me 2 months, God's grace, 2 months, and he was like riding on his scooty and he was absolutely fine, and his sugar levels had receded, everything, and the skin started surfacing. The diet did play its role, and the skin came back to its normalcy, and the normal thing is, and his third toe was, saved. And so this thing and all. But yes, we do need to take a lot of control. How we, what sort of chappals we wear also, what sort of shoes we wear. They should not be tight. And other ways, we have this kind of, our normal Hawaii chappal or Kolhapuri chappals, which is, it hurts the in between of the toe and the first finger. And we don't want that cut or that inflammation to be there. We need to prevent. We need to really take care of these factors, because these are very small factors. You don't take a control of them, and it can lead to amputation.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a very, very important thing that you raised. Yeah. And I'm really grateful that you raised this question. Yes.
Second thing is the eyes get affected. A lot in diabetes, the eyes get affected. And so if there's a person who is a diabetic, he is on his medicines, his sugar levels are okay, controlled, or they're being controlled by the medicine or the diet. Is there something that you usually include in the diet which can control the deterioration of his eyes or her eyes?
Yes. So glaucoma is something that generally happens, or diabetic retinopathy That we call that, person has a proper vision, but he gets black patches on his retina. So diabetic retinopathy can lead to blindness. How to manage it is the core issue.
Okay.
No, of course, it is the core issue is to lower the blood sugar levels. So now, like where I do play a pivotal role is between macular edema of an eye and creatinine levels. So what happens is that if a diabetic patient or patient has macular edema, that is, there's edema and there's a macular swelling ho jata hai, fluid retention. So they need to give certain medicines. Now those medicines has a direct effect on your creatinine levels. So a doctor needs to get a go ahead or a green signal from a nephrologist that that okay, his creatinine levels are fine and we can go ahead for the operation for the macular edema. Especially if the patient has CKD and is diabetic also and all that. So there we play a pivotal role. We lower the sugar levels and we help in lowering the creatinine levels.
Okay.
And it's all through food. But again, this is a very, very therapeutic and a very, very specific kind of a diet based on their kidney profile, based on lots and lots of parameters, the electrolytes. I mean, lots have to be taken into consideration. A specific diet, a constricted diet has to be formed. And, we are so lucky, touch with God's grace, that in India, if we do the research, I mean, the kind of the research that has been done on the food, we tend to understand that we can actually, some of the seasons we have certain kind of fruits and vegetables, which one can actually therapeutically use them like a brilliant medicine and cause a lot of effect. So we had this patient and the father had come and he was recommended to go and start with the dialysis. Now he was not diabetic. He was not diabetic. And that was really lucky for me. So he was not diabetic, but he had, increased creatinine and urea, uric acid, sodium, potassium, everything disarranged, kidney profile. I was like, how to, because when he came, he was like really shriveled. He can have only 800 ml of water in a day and very, very restricted kind of a diet. So those are the kind of therapeutic and specific diets we take into consideration. And touch with God's grace, he never had to go for the dialysis because his creatinine levels came down. His blood pressure levels decreased. And the time came when the Cilacar medicine, the blood pressure hypertension medicine, was totally removed from his prescription. I mean, it was really beautiful and very, very satisfying. But it is kudos to the family members, to the patient, and to the wife of that patient. I mean, totally managing your professional life, managing the house, and managing the diet of that patient. It's no easy joke. I totally salutes to them the way they managed it up, and also for that patient who had the willpower in him to follow the diet to the T.
So one thing, for example, for eyes, everybody says that gajar khani chahiye. The other theory is that you should have food only when it is the right season for those foods.
Exactly.
That's a different thing that we don't know whether even the right season also we're getting the fresh ones or the I don't know about that.
Absolutely.
But now if it is good for the eyes and can that be had throughout the year irrespective of the season, or what is it that you recommend specifically for the eyes?
So for the diabetics and for the diabetic eyes, so carrot. So again, I go on my 3 simple formula. 3 formula is first one, how to have, how much to have, and when to have. So if we go for the carrot, how to have, a raw carrot is definitely better than a cooked carrot in a gajar ka halwa, or in a vegetable pulao, or in a fried rice. Because when the carrot is cooked, the glycemic index of the sugar level, its ability to increase the sugar levels will increase. A raw carrot in its natural form will not.
Okay.
And you can't have 1.5 kgs of gajar.
Right.
But definitely you can have around 13, or no, 13 will be too high. You can have around 5 or 6 carrots or 10 carrots or 11 carrots together in a juice.
Okay.
Or you can have that in the gajar ka halwa. आपने एक हलवा के अंदर ही आपने शुगर भी डाल दिया, गाजर को कुक भी कर दिया और आपने उसमें मिल्क भी डाल दिया, and then you say it's kind of milk भी नहीं डाला, and you're just putting jaggery and cooking the gajar together will increase your sugar levels.
Right.
A raw carrot, it won't.
Okay.
So that is how to have the carrot. And then the nutrients and the antioxidants and all those things, phytochemicals that we'll be getting from a raw carrot is going to be much, much higher as compared to what is cooked. It's like, my guru says that sprouts, when they are cooked, they are dead.
Right.
Anything that has life will give us life. Anything that is dead cannot give us life.
Got it.
You may get some nutrients, but they would not be in the high bioavailability and the high kind of a form as you would get it in its raw form.
Mm-hmm.
Except for some, things that can be cooked, and they had to be had when they cooked. And those are non-veg. You cannot have a raw non-veg.
Correct.
But that will come with a brilliant package of lots and lots of hormones and toxins and a lot of, that can really disarrange your body because it was never meant to be a part of your body.
Right.
But then the carrot that comes is, it's how to have, and comes when to have. Now, having 1 or 2 pieces of carrot with the other veggies of salad like broccoli, raw capsicum, raw cucumber. Now, this kind of a package will be great. It's fantastic because there's so much of fiber and it's in its natural. We'll go back to sustained glucose release system in the body.
Got it.
So it's going to be a very, very staggered kind of a glucose release, which will not cause a spike, and it will not cause hypoglycemia also, because carrot is there. It is increasing the sugar levels, but it's not causing a hypo, it's not causing a hyper.
Got it.
So it's how to have, when to have, and how much to have.
Okay.
Again, 1 or 2, 3 are good in this kind of a combination. But if we overdo it, it will be in a form of a glass of juice, which will increase it. So that is wrong.
Got it. Okay, one last question. I know I've taken a lot of your time, but one last question. I'm very intrigued because usually we talk about obesity and we say that, आपका weight loss हो रहा है, you're obese, and which is what has caused diabetes in your life. And at the same time, I have come across people, they suddenly started losing a lot of weight, and
Yes.
which is how they got diagnosed with diabetes in the first place.
Absolutely. So this is a brilliant question. I'm very glad that you brought this up, because people tend to go कि भी diabetes है, बस आप weight lose कर लो तो आप ठीक हो जाओ. And this is a mindset of a patient also.
Okay.
And it goes by the mindset that the doctor, that anybody who finds, that okay, आप obese हैं, आप fat हैं, आप reduce करेंगे तो आपका ठीक हो जाएगा. आपके sugar levels ठीक हो जाएंगे. Diabetes management has to be managed in its complete format. You cannot say कि जी ठीक है, आज आपका blood sugar तो आपने उनका कम कर दिया, उनका आज HbA1c भी कम हो गया because they lost around 10-15 kgs of weight. Do you think they will be diabetic or not be diabetic, or the side effects of the diabetic levels, would they be there or not be there in your heart, in your CVD, CHD, in your diabetic retinopathy, all those things, would they be or would not be there? Those need to be managed. So yes, insulin, ketoacidosis, knowing what are the C-peptide levels in the blood test reports is something that is extremely important before starting with the management of a diabetic patients. And this is something what a doctor always does. He always gets a C-peptide, albuminuria, urine levels, CBC with ESR, CRP. I mean, these are something that diabetic profile. And many of the diabetic profiles, C-peptide is something very important to be checked into before touching a patient for the diet or for the medicines. Yes.
So should a person first meet a nutritionist to find out whether it can be controlled, or should one first immediately when your sugar levels are high go to a doctor?
The person should go to a doctor,
Doctor. Okay.
because a doctor is going to take care of the patient instantly.
Okay.
Diet, because they are chemicals, they're medicines, they're going to manage, they're going to take care of the immediate, like after, if you're somebody's like problem ho rahi hai, you go to the doctor. If somebody needs an operation will be done. Otherwise the doctors wouldn't be there. I mean, we should not judge a doctor because of any commercial reasons. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
just saying it openly on the platform.
Yes.
We have to have a regard for the doctor for what he's doing.
Brilliant.
And same way, it is for the dietitian or for the diabetes educator. You need to let them take control of yourself. You cannot take a prescription and go to a WhatsApp, and you take a prescription and go to FB, and take a prescription and go to the internet and say that I will be fine.
Got it.
It's just that you're feeling fine. Your blood test reports decides whether you're fine or not. And those blood test reports, for how long you're able to manage them, depends upon the condition. Like this patient who came, my father, he's been having raw fruits and vegetables, and today suddenly we can't find raw fruits and vegetables. So how do we do it? So your raw fruits and vegetables have been managing you, but your sugar levels, they have not managed your diabetes. So you
Right.
need to take a holistic perspective to it. I mean, it's
Right.
important.
Yeah. So I think, there's a very beautiful message that is actually coming out of this conversation that we had today, and very meaningful conversation is that go address the cause of the
Yes,
problem, and don't just manage the problem itself, or the outcome of the problem
absolutely,
itself.
absolutely,
So I
absolutely. I
think
mean,
that's,
kudos to you completely, Harbinder. I
yeah,
mean, that's really a wonderful thing that you have
yeah.
reached out to people, specifically in this COVID-19, where the diabetic cases are increasing and booming. Two factors there: stress and inflammation.
How
If
does
you,
one manage stress?
so
Because
stress,
the reason I'll ask you this is I remember my father would go to a doctor, and I remember the doctor telling him that आप ना stress manage करो, आप stress बहुत लेते हो. वो कहते हैं ये मेरे हाथ में नहीं है, मैं stress कैसे manage करूँ, ठीक है ना? So are there some foods that can relax people? Because I understand meditation and other things do calm you down, but they necessarily don't bring down the stress levels.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So half of the patients, when we tell them to manage and do meditation, so in that meditation, they're actually thinking what's happening with the file and what's happening at home, and what that meditation is. It's not, actually helping them,
Correct.
because they're just trying to analyze what is giving them a stress in that meditation.
Correct.
Meditation is, when you're actually going inside your body and kind of relaxing. And that's the thing what I do with clinical food meditation. That
Right.
is my signature program. But what does come around is a right amount of sleep,
Mm-hmm.
right amount of water,
Right.
right amount of food, and right amount of medication,
Right.
which needs to be lowered, because
Mm-hmm.
every medication will lead to stress. That will happen.
Okay.
Now, according to, like we discussed, Indian Council of Medical Research, that magnesium is something very important. So having something like palak, like
Mm-hmm.
spinach is something very important. It's a great amount of magnesium that side, and or having a banana. But a
Right.
banana is always a healthier option as compared to spinach, because spinach has a lot of oxalic acids also.
Okay.
Cannot go overboard on that. And banana, again, the timings need to be managed. Now, when we talk about the stress and the food, so how I deal with them is that I'm an aura reader also.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I did aura reading was to absolutely understand what is the patient, because food, mood, and energy, three of the things are interrelated. So now, of course, we can decipher, and there are machines, where you understand what is the aura of the food also,
Mm-hmm.
and what are the live enzymes in the food. All those things we kind of understand. But when we come down to the stress levels, we also need to do with the chakra healing. And that's something I understand by talking to them, understand what is the causative factor for their diabetes. And if it turns out to be stress, then it is something like I would give food for the chakras. Now, evening time is a time that a person needs to be activated. He's had this nice lunch, he's had a great AC office, he's settled, his business is booming, and his file has, like well placed, and he's well relaxed. So that'll make him little sleepy. Giving him a red food item like pomegranate, a red capsicum, a red tomato juice is something a great option, because it's the root chakra. The root chakra is red in color. You need to vibrate that chakra. Depends again on his blood test reports. We just not go कि food for the chakra है, ठीक है, आपने red color आपने शाम को लेना है, आप ले लो. No, it again depends. If his high uric acid, or आप उनको tomato दे रहे हो because it is red in color, so it will increase his uric acid levels. so depending on the blood test reports, we manage their food, the chakras of their body. Automatically, their energy levels change. And once the energy levels change, then the positive stress factors also change.
So awesome, Ira. Thank you so much for your time. It is such a brilliant conversation, and you can't even imagine how useful this could be to people. And I'm grateful that you agreed to come on this conversation and participate in this value creation that we are doing. And I'm sure a lot of people will connect with you. I will mention your coordinates and contact details in the description whenever I upload this video. But really appreciate your taking our time.
More than anything, Parminder, I'm grateful to you, because you're doing such an amazing community outreach program for people, and it can really benefit the people out. I mean, it's really a value creation that you're doing for others. I mean, kudos to you. I'm grateful to be part of your program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.